I found myself in this position where I don't even like to sit around anymore. I like to just hurt. Like I like to just push hard. I like to be out in front, and I think that's something me and Tayvon both do well. So I mean, especially if me and him were in the 32, or I mean the 2 mile at Brooks together, we would not sit around. We're gonna attack it, and we're trying to bring down records, and that's just the truth of it.
That was Josiah Tostenson today on the Running Effect podcast. And I'm your host, Dominic Schluter. I'm thrilled you've clicked on this conversation because I have the privilege of speaking with one of the best high school runners, not just of the class of 2025 or our era, but quite frankly of all time. He's run 3:57 in the mile, 7:57 in the 3K. He's on a Terrier runs for Crater High School. I recently had his teammate Josiah Kitchen on the podcast. They together are probably the greatest duo in high school history. And it's going to be an exciting spring watching them chase records, chase titles. We recap all of that in today's conversation. This is both a fun and insightful conversation. I really enjoyed it. Perfect for your next run. If you guys enjoy this one, share it with a friend, a teammate, share it with 10 friends. Help us out here. Podcast is free. It'll always be free, and that's the easiest way in which you can help us out. Also, hit the follow and subscribe button wherever you're listening so you never miss another episode. And the cherry on top, give us a 5-star review. Literally takes 3 seconds. Someone once texted me and fact-checked me, and they were like, literally took me 3 seconds. So would appreciate you doing that. And with all those notes aside, I hope you all enjoy this fun, insightful conversation with the man, the myth, the legend, Josiah Tostenson. Josiah Tostenson. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you did.
Perfect. Welcome to the Running Effect podcast. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing great. It's a sunny day. Sun's finally out in Oregon, so it's really nice.
What does a normal Saturday in your life look like?
Every Saturday I wake up probably around like 7 o'clock, bowl of oatmeal, and then I hit long run. And I know a lot of people do long run Sundays. My training plan, we do long run Saturdays. So every Saturday morning is straight up wake up long run.
You a long run guy? Do you like it? Do you dread that day of the week? What's your general perspective on long runs?
I would say our long runs are a little bit different. I'd say they're a little more workouts. So I would say Friday nights I'm normally dreading it a little bit more, and then Saturday morning I kind of get excited, and then always after you finish long run on Saturday, like the weekend is fully complete, and now I can just like there is nothing, like no stress, nothing on my shoulders. I just can enjoy the full weekend now.
You drive over to the long run spot. What's bumping? What's getting you ready?
What's getting me ready? Today it was Osama Sun and Netspin. These are some underground artists, but I'll really just like
I've heard of them.
Yeah, they're super underground. I have this whole playlist of just like underground artists, but I could say like I don't know. I'll even put on like Playboy Cardi, or I don't even know, a bunch of guys. Travis Scott. I could really put on like it. Kind of just goes time by time. I always like wake up and I'm just feeling an artist, and then I'll just listen to that artist the whole time. I'll say Lil Uzi Vert. That'd be a big one. I'll just go play some Lil Uzi, get hyped. That could be for race day also, but yeah, I'd say that's my go-to for sure.
Who's got the worst music taste on the boys team?
On the boys team, that would be hard.
Who's like get off aux? Like don't give this person aux.
I would never give like. We have my good friend, good teammate. We call him Nimble. Nimble, I don't think Nimble would have a good aux. I would say me and Tayvon are the only guys who are allowed to with the aux. So everybody else is gonna play some questionable stuff.
Does that lines up a little too closely with the 2 fastest guys on the team? Is it like these are the 2 fastest guys on the team? We're gonna let them do what they want, or do you guys actually have the best music taste and people respect it?
I think we actually have the best music taste. Me and Tayvon, pretty similar music taste, and we do like every run together just with one AirPod each, and we make like we have like different run spots, and we make playlists for all those spots. And it's just kind of feeling the vibe of the spot. And then every time we run that spot together, we shuffle that playlist for the spot. And we just have some bangers, like straight bangers. But yeah, we have similar music tastes, but nobody else on the team really has that good of music taste. I'd say Max Miracle. He's an 800 runner, sophomore on our team. He is actually pretty similar music taste to me. Like, I know before Clovis was really early in the morning for cross. And like half our team was sleeping on the way to the race, and me and Max, I was playing like Ken Carson in the car, just trying to get everyone super hyped. and me and Max were going crazy. So I'd say he's top 3 right there.
I think when people think of Oregon, they really only think of Eugene and maybe sometimes Portland. What should the people out there know about Crater and where you're from?
Um, I would say not as many people from back in the day, but now we're starting to build a bigger map about Southern Oregon and Central Point because it's normally, yeah, like you said, everyone always talks about PDX and Eugene, like it's the only spots guys have ever came out from. But now I know Michael Mariano came out from South Medford, and me, Taven, and Tyrone are coming out from Central Points, and we're just proving that the smaller side of Oregon, the like we're smaller schools, not as many kids, we can come out and still be really good. And I think it's starting to become, honestly, Southern Oregon over like Southern Lower Oregon over like PDX.
Pacific Northwest, I hear it's underrated. I have been to Eugene. It's blown me away in some aspects, and then you're there for 3 days and you're like, get me out of here. There's really nothing to do. Take on Pacific Northwest. Do you think it's the most like underrated in terms of like scenic place to live?
I'm so underrated. I would say the most underrated. It's like running. We have spots that me and Taven like love to drive to and go to, and they're like you can run next to waterfalls. You can get really nice trails. We have right next to us, probably like an hour away, is Lake of the Woods, and you could just run a whole like 10-mile loop around Lake of the Woods, and it's just beautiful. There's so many just scenic spots, and like even where I live, like you drive like 3 miles out, and you can get to like straight nowhere and just run roads full of just redwood trees and stuff. So I would say very underrated, and not even just talking Oregon. If you go to like Seattle, you're gonna find, or just Washington, you're gonna find beautiful spots, and just therefore all of Pacific Northwest is just really beautiful. A lot of waterfalls and green.
Obviously, the hot topic is you breaking 4 minutes in the mile. What's the like honest reflection and take like 2 weeks after? How do you feel? And is it kind of nice to have a little bit of a breather after, really focusing on that 3K and then that mile? I'm sure you were very dialed in. Is it nice to kind of take a little bit of a step back and take a breather?
For sure. It's super nice to just take a breather and kind of like, I've been trying to really still like digest, because I think something I never did well with was after doing big things in races, I would like kind of be hyped for like a day and then just like kind of forget about it and just go back to my normal stuff. But I would say sub 4 was like something I had like, I think from 8th grade middle school is when I set the goal I want to be a sub 4 miler. And being able to do it was finally like the biggest weight on my shoulders left off. Like I felt like now I had accomplished everything I wanted to really do in high school, and now everything's just bonus for the rest of the senior year. Like I'm just like, so like I feel like I really have no pressure going into all of the track season and end of indoor. Like I'm just gonna enjoy every race and just try to have the most fun and run the fastest I possibly can. But I would say, yeah, definitely the most important goal I set for myself in high school was running sub 4, and to be able to do it and go faster than I planned and feel really good after that race was just like definitely like probably best running moment I've felt in a long time, if not the best ever.
357, right? It's point something.
Yeah.
Is that crazy to you? Like you would have been happy with 359, I'm sure. Was it crazy to you how far under you went?
I would say I was in shock. I would say I knew I could go sub 4. Like that was not a question to me. I knew I was fit enough to go sub 4. Mentally, I felt like that was the most important part. And mentally, I was just like, I don't care. I am gonna close hard. Like I'm gonna get the sub 4. And going 357 was super surprising, and definitely just like kind of showed me where my fitness was in a whole, because I was still like very uncertain about how fit I actually was. So being able to go 357 and feel like I still could have made some less tactical errors and raced a little bit, say, harder in the end, I felt like I was just like super happy with the takeaway from that, and I think I can even maybe go faster.
I was just talking with Connor Burns and Simeon Birnbaum. That episode will be out by the time this one comes out. And I was like, and granted, those dudes are always going to throw out hot takes and always take the hotter of the take. But I was like, is sub 4 no longer sub 4? What's your take on this question? And if it's no longer sub 4, do you think it's a new mark, or do you think marks just don't matter anymore?
I think, I think as times sub 4 is getting a little easier for guys because they're training harder, and They just have, I feel like, bigger goals than guys in the past. But I would almost still say that it's still just as impressive as a mark as it was before, because you got to put in so much work still, and you got to do so much behind the scenes, and you got to mentally and physically be ready for a sub four. Let alone, you're not going to have a million chances at sub four. You're only going to have so many shots. So I still say, I'd say it's becoming a little more common because the type of athletes we are, and that's just how running is in general. Everything's getting a little bit faster because the sport's just opening up. But I think still sub four in high school might become a little bit more common, but I still think it's a big, huge milestone. I'd say maybe in a couple of years, 355 might turn to that crazy mark, but only time can tell from there.
I think a big thing on people's minds going into this 2025 outdoor season is the comparison between you guys and the class of 2023. Where do you stand on this? Obviously, you're going to be a little biased, as you should be, quite frankly. But how do you feel your class shapes up, and what do you feel like you guys are capable of?
See, yeah, that one's a hard one because I remember when I was younger and I was good friends with Connor and I was watching like Simeon, and Tyrone, my teammate, like just destroy the 5K, or Simeon like outkick everyone in every race. Like I really thought that class might not be beatable, but now lining up to this year, I truly think that if you put senior them against like senior, say Pacific Northwest, you put me, Owen, and Taven in those races, I think it would be really close. But I'd say even just as a whole, like there's so many guys in the East Coast and the Midwest that are so dangerous, and I think it would be. I think they might have had a little more depth so far, 2023, but we'll just have to see how the end of this year shapes up because I really think this might be one of the best classes ever. Like I could see a couple more. I could see 2 to 3 more guys going sub four. I know there's so many guys that could go sub 14. I know for myself, I could definitely, and I could see more guys going sub 8. Obviously, there might not be any 3Ks, but sub 8:30 even in the 32. So I think it'll be close for sure.
Yeah, let me ask you about something that really gets talked about, and sure, I might throw out the Alan Webb classic question. And then, with Taven, there's like, I think more of the conversation around like the Danny Simmons record and the 5K. But a record that doesn't really get talked about is the 2 mile. And I think that's a distance that is kind of well suited to you in your traits. What's your take on something like that? Obviously, you don't really get the chance too much. In Oregon, they race the 3K, but yeah, what's your take on like the 32 record, the 2 mile record? I feel like those have stood for quite some time. And because like I remember with Connor and Simeon, I kind of joked that I was like a Lucas versus Bika's hater. And I was just like, who is this guy? I was like, this guy should not, like a Galen Rupp in the 5K makes sense. And Alan Webb in the mile makes sense. It's like, I know this guy was a stud back in the day. And part of the disrespect is I just didn't grow up in his era, but I'm like, someone's got to break this record soon. And I remember at Brooks PR last year telling Drew Griffith, I was like, dude, take the race. Like, I was like, you got to take the race hard because I don't want to see this record stand. And he left it a little too late, but he came close. So anyways, take on the 32 and the 2 mile record. Will we see those fall?
Yeah. I think the 2 mile is still really fast and really insane because I mean I was in that Brooks PR race when Drew Griffith went for it, and to be fair, I wasn't feeling good that day, but it was a fast pace, and I was out the door by like I think the first mile I was out the door, and I think it's a really impressive record, but I think it's a very gettable record. Definitely doable. I think you know, I think I'm a miler. I feel like I'm a miler, but I also I rarely do 3Ks or like 32s, and when I do them, I end up performing really good and always just thinking like, oh, I could have ran so much faster. So I think it's definitely a doable record, and like Brooks PR 2 mile, I might end up doing that. Definitely, I think we'll go down there, especially if it's a stacked field. Arcadia, I think Danny has the record, right? That is definitely going down. No hate to Danny, but that it's going to be a stacked field at Arcadia this year, and we're not gonna. I don't think anyone's trying to sit around. Nothing. We're trying to run fast. So that one, I think, is definitely going down. The 2 mile, I think, ultimately will depend by the field, but I know we have the caliber of guys to break the record for sure.
Okay. I did this with Drew last year at the meet. He didn't come through on it. So I'm going to ask you literally months in advance. We're in March. if you go to Brooks PR and you're in the 2 mile and you're in the shape to do it, can you promise me that you will not sit around and wait and try to win the race and that you'll go for the record?
Oh,
Please.
yeah. No, I can promise you that because I'm going to tell you right now, especially if I'm feeling good, I'm not really trying to sit around anymore. I feel like I did that a lot junior year, but after like I think Woodbridge and Clovis, and I ended up getting sick and not ending well. But even coming back to this year, I found myself in this position where I don't even like to sit around anymore. I like to just hurt. Like I like to just push hard. I like to be out in front, and I think that's something me and Taven both do well. So I mean, especially if me and him were in the 32 or I mean the 2 mile at Brooks together, we would not sit around. We're gonna attack it, and we're trying to bring down records, and that's just the truth of it.
Speaking of that Arcadia 3200, I think this is a race where obviously time matters and records are going to go down, but kind of as you stated, like no disrespect to Danny, it's kind of inevitable that records are going to fall at that race every single year. And whatever the record that's set this year, it's probably going to go down in 3, 4, or 5 years, even though we're going to look at this class and be like, this is never going to happen again. And it'll probably happen again.
Yeah.
But with that, because of that, I think a lot of people are curious of like who's going to win that race. And it's kind of the first kind of national meet before national meet. So obviously you guys are going to run fast, but for you, how do you view competition and how excited are you about something like that where you're like, I'm going to be, everyone's there, you know, no one's missing this race and whoever wins is going to be the best runner in the nation at the time.
I think there's a lot of guys that could win it, but I truly think that me and Taven are going to be the most fit going in there, the most hungry for it, and we're going to put ourselves in position to win it. And I think one of us is going to come out on top for sure, and whichever one of us is, we're both going to be happy. That's a win for both of us. But I know there's a lot of players like future teammate Owen. There could be Tommy Latham. There could be Keegan. There's a ton of guys. I don't want to leave anybody out, but there's so many guys that could attack that. And I think really, realistically, it's going to be a fast race. It's going to come down to probably like 6 guys in a pack with a mile to go. I think it will be that fast. And then now it's just who can hang and who can close hard, because it's not like the biggest thing is that thing is going to close sub 2, I think. So like, people are going to have to be ready. So it's going to be a battle, but I think me and Tatum will be able to take it for sure.
Have you thought about a race like Festival Miles where, you know, 2023, 4 guys broke 4 in the race, probably the best ever mile race in high school history? What's your take on that? Have you thought about getting together with 10 guys and like, let's get 10 guys under 4? Like, let's make this the greatest race in high school history.
I haven't thought about that yet, but I know I've got the trials or the Festival of Miles invite. I know Taven has. I know Owen has. Us 3 have talked about going. I know a lot of guys, like, say, I think Tommy ran really fast there last year. Corbin Coombs is going to come. A lot of guys are going to want to attack sub 4. So I think if the stars aligned, and I'm not guaranteed know if for sure if I'm going to do that race or not, but if that race does come and there is, like I said, 4 to 5 guys that are going to be able to go sub 4, and it just kind of then becomes a race of are we racing that race to win it, or are we going to try to go 3:54? Like,
go for Webb's record at that point. I mean, the cool thing about that team is like Connor and Simeon were talking a little bit out of their butt 2 years ago, but they said we want record pace, and they hired Eric Sawinski. So the guy that was pacing Jakob Ingebrigtsen paced the high schooler. So I think the cool thing about that race, and I've been there the past 2 years, is just like they take it seriously of like whatever the athletes want, we will make sure you guys have it. So I just think the thought of like getting 7, 8 guys under 4 would be, the energy would be electric if that happened.
It would be insane. I think that would be, like you said, that might be the greatest high school race of all time. And yeah, I didn't even think about that. If we have a pacer, it's inevitable. It will definitely be at least 5 guys to go sub 4. If we have a pacer bringing us out, like, I know I'd want to go out and like, I'd want to go out in like 157. So if we went out in like 157, 156 and just made it literally best man wins it, then it'd be an awesome race and it'd be super fun for sure.
A lot of people I talk to, they don't really get to experience like real competition until they go to the national level. Some are lucky and they have it at the state level. Some are like really unique and they have it at the county level. Never really talked to someone who has it with their teammate. And so really anytime they line up for a serious race, it's going to be a battle. How do you view that? And how do you view like building brotherhood and friendship with Tayvon while also wanting to beat him at the end of the day and pretty constantly having to compete against him?
Yeah, I think me and Taven have been at this for a long time, so I think we're very used to racing each other, and that's nothing new. I think it's honestly a blessing because, I mean, obviously, it's always like you're never gonna have a race like that is, oh, I'm gonna be chill. I'm gonna be able to relax this race. Like every time me and Taven line up for any races, even if it's just a home meet, we're like, we know that me and him are about to push each other to the maximum limits, and best man's gonna win that day. And it can go back and forth, but I think me and Taven are really such good friends, and we hang out all the time. We get salty with each other. We work out this that. So like we never have any problems about it. Like we're just trying to. We both just want each other to run as fast as he can. We're just both trying to push each other. So that's why even we're never really trying to set each other up or nothing. We'll take it. We'll switch it off. We'll do whatever it is just to run a fast time. And yeah, I think it's never really a problem.
What are those key races, key moments that you're looking forward to this final season? And what do you feel like you'd have to accomplish this outdoor season to look back on your high school legacy and feel good about it?
Um, I think definitely want to win national meets. Like if I go to, which I will obviously go to New Balance Outdoor. Like I would love to go out there, maybe like who knows, set another DMR national record, go out there, win the mile or the 2 mile, whatever I decide to run. And obviously I just want to be, I want to run fast, but I want to be a race winner also. I want to be able to go out to Arcadia, win Arcadia. I want to go to Festival Miles, win Festival Miles. I just want to win every single race. The times could fall. That's cool. I will go for them. I'm really like, I'm not wanting to duck any pacer, this, that. But my main goal is I just want to compete. I know this is a amazing field, and if you don't bring your A game every single race, then you're not going to win. So I want to just be able to just bring my best self to every race and just try to win every race.
A few years ago, high school by the name of Newberry Park was all the rage. And just like with the class of 23, there was a conversation, we'll never see it again. I think there was a conversation with that school that we'll never see two teammates that good again. The crazy thing with them is you could really interchange maybe Aaron in with them, but I'll say Lex and Leo were probably the two front runners.
Yeah.
Now, you go to the Pacific Northwest, there's a school named Crater 2 years later, and debatably you and Taven are in that conversation. How do you view you and Taven in the context of being the two greatest teammates to ever do it?
I think we are. I think our diversity from mile to 5K, even 800 to 5K is undeniable. I think we just gotta, if we can just come out here and go 1-2 in all the races we race and just prove that we are as dominant as we think we are, then I think undeniably we'll be the greatest. But, I'm friends with Lex and Leo. They're great guys, and they're seriously were on the different level of high school, and they took over the scene because they're dogs. They went out there and they soloed everything. I think me and Taven will have a little help this year, but they were really elite and just high character guys. So I think me and Taven are really gonna have to leave a crazy mark to the end of the season. I would say not yet. We're not the greatest of high school, the greatest duo of all time, but I would say we have the biggest opportunity to solidify ourselves as the greatest all time.
I think Taven told me this. You were a 409 guy as a freshman. Take me through that start in the sport of running and kind of progression to get to where you are today and some of those ridiculous landmarks along the way, like a 409 as a freshman that make me feel utterly slow. So slow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so my brother and sister were both Division I runners. So from a young age, and we're pretty far apart, I think 5 years each. So from a young age, my dad was always put me out on like the turkey trot or whatever, and just make me go run and train. So I played every sport: soccer, basketball, football, uh, cross country, track. I just did everything, and then kind of coming around, I trained a lot though with my family. So coming around middle school, I knew right then I was uh, a very good runner. So I played like basketball, I think, basketball, soccer, and track and cross country. And then coming around eighth grade, I had literally no. I mean, I even ran with the high schoolers during like summers sometimes, and just went out there and just trained. And then coming around eighth grade year, I really had no idea. Like, I didn't even know if I wanted to be a runner or nothing. I just got told, let's go to, it was Nike Nationals in eighth grade. So I went in eighth grade, went to like the eighth middle school mile in Nike Nationals. Literally, like, honestly, didn't want to go up, but my parents wanted me to go. So I just went up and I won it somehow. And then after that, that's when I was like, yeah, I quit every sport going into high school. And I had Tyrone as a teammate. And the thing about me was if I when I show up to practice back then, like I wasn't doing nothing really extra, but when I showed up to practice, I just was gonna work as hard as I can to be right next with Tyrone. So I mean, obviously I got dropped all the time, but I just worked really hard every practice, and then coming in the Jesuit Mile, Oregon that year was honestly the most craziest year. We had like James Crabtree, Caleb Lakeman, Tyrone, Michael Mariano. We just had us, Charlie North, just a stacked group of elite Oregon runners. All of those guys went Division One, and we went to Jesuit Mile. I think Caleb Lakeman won the race in 4:03 or 4:04, and I literally just tagged on to the back of that track, ran 4:09, and I was in shock. Obviously, that was like a huge mark, and that's when I knew uh I knew my place in the sport right there, and I knew I had to just keep rolling and keep trying to be the best athlete, and that's when I kind of knew, all right, maybe I'm a miler. So it was huge for me for that freshman year. I was lucky to have a great coach and a great teammate, and just a lot of training buddies that pushed me really hard. But yeah, it was definitely a lot of pressure moving up from there.
What do you feel like you're capable of in the sport of running?
I feel like I'm capable to go as far as I want, realistically, I feel like I've battled a lot mentally throughout high school and like where I want to be in the sport, this, that. But I feel like these last 2 years is when I really realized like, no, I do want to be great and I actually do want to go be a pro runner. So, and I think that was almost the biggest part about Washington was I knew Andy Powell, I think, is the greatest coach of all time. I think. And then obviously I just took a bet that Owen was going to go there. And now that me and Owen are going to be training partners, just another thing that now I confirmed to myself that I can go pro and I want to go pro. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep training from now to when it happens to go pro, and that's my biggest goal. But yeah, I'm capable of really, I think, doing whatever I put my mind to. I just gotta really want it.
Speaking specifically on this past fall, and speaking of a guy named Owen Powell, that race at Woodbridge was legendary. Fight to the line, really gutsy performance by you. And I think you showed glimmers early on of like, oh, this guy can go out and win it all, quite frankly. I think we talked at Foot Locker and you said you had some like injuries, some setbacks. So take me through the fall and how you feel like, obviously you start out on like a pretty big high with how well you ran at Woodbridge. And I'm sure you have those thoughts of like, I won a national title, and then having that setback. How do you feel like that gave you a chip on your shoulder going into this indoor and outdoor track season?
Yeah, I would say it definitely put a huge chip on my shoulder from the fact that coming off like Clovis and Woodbridge, even though Owen got me at Woodbridge, all I could still think was like it was a gutsy race, and I didn't know how fit I was, and I all I could think was I am definitely I'm gonna go win NXN. Like that was just the true thought in my mind. I was like, I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna like I perform every year. I ran at NXN. I ran really good on that course. Like everyone complains about the mud and all that. I never cared about that at all. I honestly feel like I raced fine there. So I was really excited, and then yeah, I ended up. I don't know. Like I ended up just after Clovis. I just wasn't feeling good one day. We had a track 5K. I still ran 14:27, but like I was like literally like couldn't do the workout after that, was just cooked. And then from there I was just fighting sickness all the way up until still until really the end of the year. I fought it all the way up until state a week like couple days before state. I had like a 103-degree fever and I was just cooked, just throwing up everywhere, just couldn't get out of bed. And went to state, still ran, and I got like sixth at state still, and it felt like I was like honestly just like jogging through, but I was just cooked. Like my body couldn't move any faster than it was. And NXR, I try to like mentally tell myself that I would could still go win an XR, and then I got destroyed. I got slapped in the face. I got cooked. And then from there, it was just really bad mentally. Like, I mentally was like, I was just on top of the world, and now I feel like I can't do nothing. And then I was ready to call my season there. Definitely ready to call my season there. And that's what I wanted to, but Andy told me, or not Andy, Loftus told me that to go give it another shot at Foot Locker. So I know I took some days off after NXR, and then with like a week to go before Foot Locker, I got back into training and hit a really good workout with Taven, and was like, all right, I can breathe now. Like, I wasn't really able to breathe back then. Like, now I was breathing well, and then went to Foot Locker, was able to barely qualify. And then after that, though, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go win Foot Locker, and then got destroyed again. So I was just really pissed coming out of the cross, like, slim it down, really pissed coming out of cross country season. I felt like I could have won all the cross races, and then I just obviously got destroyed and just got, I would say, unlucky, but there's things I could have done better to keep myself healthier. So ultimately, just really mad with myself and just mad with, I felt like I was unlucky and that. So I was really frustrated. So then going into, I think I opened up at a UW meet, and I did a 1K, and I got rolled in the 1K. And I was literally like, mentally I was cooked. Like, I was like, dang, bro, what's happening? Like, I'm doing workouts fine now, and why am I getting destroyed? And then I took all that anger and ran, like, I think 4:03 the next day in the mile, literally the next day. And that's when I was like, felt like all the weight got lifted off. Like, I was like, all right, I actually am super fit. Like, I just needed to, like, almost find my spark again. Like, I felt so rusty that once I found that, and then after that, I went literally the next week, ran 3K, 7:57, and then next day I ran 4:02. And then after that, next week from there, went to BU and ran 3:57. So, like, it was like, yeah, the biggest chip on my shoulder. And then once I found that spark, all that, like, mental doubt and all that just went away. And now I've just been like, okay, I'm tired of, like, having, like, throughout my high school career, I've had literally probably one of the bumpiest roads. Like, if you look at my athletic.net, it's just like the craziest performances and then just bad and then craziest bad. But not as bad as I explain it, but that's how I feel it. So, like, I'm not trying to have, like, I'm trying to, from that start of the indoor season, like, I started out my indoor season, I would still say really great. And then it's just been climbing. And I just want to keep literally climbing as high as possible, just keep climbing up that mountain, and then just have no more setbacks for the rest of the track season. And I'm going to do everything I possibly can just to end the track season with no regret. No matter how I finish the races, just be like, that's everything I could have done to set myself up the best way I could.
Josiah, love this conversation. Final serious question for you. For those listening who look up to you, look up to your story, your progression, what would be the final takeaway message that you want to leave with the audience today?
I'd say the final takeaway is, like I said, I had a bumpy road, but what I want to say is that you can, like, always pick yourself up. Like, I had ran 4:09 freshman year, and then I never ran faster sophomore year. And then junior year, I got literally like 120th at Woodbridge. And then senior year, I got second at Woodbridge. Like, I'm saying you can, no matter how many setbacks you get, whether it's like family issues or physical or sickness or mental, you can always overcome all the trials and tribulations you're given throughout your high school career and college career and whatever. You just gotta really just ask yourself how bad you want it. And once you're able to do that and you're able to really pick and choose the right things that you want to do, you can overcome anything that's thrown at you. And I think that's the biggest message for me, is I want to be someone that proved that you can get thrown a lot of bad hands and still, no matter what, come out on top.
Josiah, final question for you. The question I ask every guest on every single podcast. If you had Gordon Ramsay coming over to your house for dinner, what would you choose to make for him?
What would I choose to make for him? I would make him, dang, that's a hard one. I'd have to just give him, a quick go-to. I'd probably just give him, like, a bowl of cereal, some toast, maybe a nice banana on the side with a little chocolate milk. hopefully he's satisfied. But I feel like that's pretty solid. Maybe he needs
if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it works for you, it can work for Gordon.
Exactly. That's how I think. He doesn't need the fanciest. Sometimes maybe he just needs to step back to a little bowl of cereal. So that's what I have to give him.
I love it. Josiah, I really appreciate the conversation, man. You're an inspiration. Appreciate you taking the time to walk me through your career and insights from it. And man, I'm going to be cheering you and the boys on this season, hoping you guys make